Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and here is another tutorial for Project Spark. I've had a request on YouTube. Somebody wants to make a telekinesis spells like Skyrim, and they want to throw swords at people. So I've had a go at trying to do something similar to that. There are some limitations in Project Spark. This is the best I could do. I'm sure there's somebody out there who could probably do a better job, and if you can, please make a YouTube video and post it up because we'd love to see it. Otherwise, here is my version of a telekinesis style sword throwing thing. So I have a selection of swords here, and I've got a goblin over there that I want to kill. So I can pick up my sword and it will float about in front of me like this. Now this is attached to a logic cube which is attached to my head, and it's at this point you notice that your head position bears absolutely no relation whatsoever to your camera position, and occasionally, like that, the player will look over, look away and move his head with the idle animation, which is not reflected in what you see of the camera. This is a limitation of Project Spark. So you've got a first person camera, but the first person camera isn't actually through the player's eyes. So when the player goes into idle animation and moves away, the camera doesn't move with him, unfortunately. So this is the best we can do. I've done this so that you get that floating effect, that you've got something in front of you floating. So if I press X, I will chuck the sword. So let's pick it up, move it over. There we go. And I'm going to kill this goblin. If I miss like that, there we go. It just flies off. And move it down. Oh, I missed. I hit the ground. And I can tilt it the wrong way. Move it up a bit, left a bit, down a bit. There we go. So I've got an aiming system, and you can tilt it and you can move it and what have you. So let's have a look and see how it's done. Okay, so I've got a logic cube, but I've got it attached to the player's head in front, so that the sword or whatever it is you're going to throw is in that position in front of the camera. Now, as you can see, as the player goes into his idle animation, this logic cube's bouncing up and down. It's floating. It gives that floating effect in front, which is what we want. But obviously, idle animations, he could look to the back and all sorts of things, and then your sword is all over the place. So there is that limitation. Here is the brains in the swords. So there's quite a few lines here, and I think all of these lines are necessary. This is the trouble with when you're making something and you experiment a few things, then you don't know whether to take the line out or not. But let's just assume that every single line in here is needed. Okay, so when not equipped and not attached, and you interact with the sword, so you press B. I use my leader because it's an object that's already in the brain, so I didn't have to create another one. So my leader equals it. Physics type equals fixed. It's because we're going to be using push to throw our sword, and you can only use a physics type of tumbling with push. But if I set it to tumbling, and a sword is normally set to tumbling, then the sword will just drop to the floor, even if it's attached. So we want the physics type to be fixed, so it will stay attached to our cube. It will bounce up and down with the head position, but it won't fall. Then we're going to set our boolean to say raised equals true. So when we picked it up, we've raised the sword. When raised is true, we're going to set our up to be the same as my leader's forward, and that'll do is it will tip the sword forward so that the blade is facing in front. And we're going to say our down y equals the down y plus this up angle number variable. And what this is going to do is when you move the right stick up and down, it's going to change the angle of the sword, so it will move up and down. So we're going to increment it and decrement it by 0.01. as you move the right stick up and down, and that will just tilt it up and down. Now at the moment I've got a raycast hit with a draw. You don't have to have that draw. You could have it so that you can't see the line, and then you can only see it when when it hits something. So when you get in the correct position, it's going to display a crosshair at the center of that object. It's not going to. We can't get it to go onto the object exactly where it hits, but the center of the object, a crosshair will appear. So if you're in any position where you can hit that goblin, a crosshair is going to appear on that goblin. Like I say, you can take that tile out if you don't want to see the line. When you press X, we're going to force push this sword, so we'll make that true. And then in order to get the position of this sword correctly, because we don't want it to attach on the floor, we're going to raise it up so its Y position is +1, and we don't need this anymore because I attached it to its head originally. We take that out. Logic cube attach me, so that logic cube which is in front of the player there is going to attach this sword to it, and we're going to change that. Actually, I'm going to change that to, let's say, 3 frames. This is so that when you press the B a second time, you can equip the sword. So you don't have to throw it, you can equip it by pressing B. And it needs that countdown timer, otherwise when you press the B the first time, it will automatically equip the sword and you'll never get a chance to throw it. So when you equip the sword, obviously raised equals false, and we'll change the physics back to tumbling, and it's going to equip the sword. It's going to act like a normal sword. Right. When you choose force push, we're going to change the physics type to tumbling so we can push it, and we're going to detach it from that logic cube. We're going to say it's no longer raised, and we're going to set the gravity factor to 0, so it won't be affected by gravity at its initial point, so it will still be hovering, and then it's going to push in direction of up and strong. Now up is forward on that sword, if you remember, because we tilted it forwards, and when it starts to bump something and that it is not the logic cube, then we'll damage that thing by 10 points, and we're going to play an alarm bell. You don't need that alarm bell, that's just for me to know that you've hit it. When the sword is moving, it's going to increment the gravity over a loop time, so it's going to dip the sword over time, and then after 2 seconds it will destroy that sword so that it doesn't exist in the world any longer, so it acts like a projectile. So there you go, that's it. That's the code for that sword. Let's just show it you again. So I can pick up my sword, I can do it like that, see, and I can run around with it. So I've got it telekinetically raised up, and now I can move it up and down like this. Now if you push it very gently with the stick, you can do it independently from the camera, which is what we want. Okay, and let's get it in the right position. Oh, missed. Oh, it's so hard to get it in the right position. Right, move. Right, let's just fire it. Let's hit the ground. If you do it quickly from the middle, you should get a better result. Whoa, come on. Come on. Oh, just missed him, just got past his arms. There. Yes, got him. Yes, it's very satisfying when you're actually throwing these swords and you know you're gonna hit that goblin. We need to move over to the left a bit. Oh, too much. It's quite sensitive to the controls. Oh no, I've missed. Last sword. Last chance. Come on. Come on. There. Hey! And I've killed my goblin. I'll have that. That's an idea of how to do it anyway. So thanks for watching. and keep sparking.